All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to review some of the news in the market that's happening around nationally about real estate and things like that today. We're also going to take a look in the local Tulsa market as well. So if this is your first time joining me, my name is Stephen Brox. I am a realtor in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm one of the co-founders and co-owners of More Agency. So what I want to dive into first is this report that just came out from homes.com. And what we're seeing here right now is this report came out earlier this week, and it talks about how home loan applications in America have fallen to their lowest rates level year over year. And this makes sense, right? We're dealing with right now a lot of economic instability in the world. We have the things with like the Strait of Hormuz, you have inflation not where the Fed want it. There are all of these things at play that are contributing to what's essentially an unstable, uncertain economy. And so what you're seeing a drop in mortgage rates. And that mortgage applications fell week to week about 3%. You can see it here. This is a great article from homes.com. They put out some really good content over there. Likewise, so does Realtor.com. They have great reports as well if you're ever looking for that kind of thing and you want to learn more about it. But at the same time, what I like about this is I think this does bring opportunity. So if you're a buyer right now and you're a buyer in the market, one of the things to take into consideration as well, if this is telling me that less people are trying to get a mortgage right now, then maybe it means when I come along to a seller, they're going to be more appreciative of the fact they have someone to negotiate with. And I do think in essence, that's what this is giving you. This report is essentially telling you as a buyer, there's leverage right now in the market. You have time on your side to make the most of what's going on in this current market. So switching away from the homes.com application, another thing I like right now that I think is a great thing for any first-time home buyers is that investor home purchases have fallen to their lowest level since 2020. Now what happened in 2020? Interest rates got super low. Myself, my business partner, Gannon Brown, we took advantage of this and we bought 3 rent houses, okay? We bought 3 rent houses and we got an incredibly low interest rate on those rent houses. Well, we bought them on a 5-year fixed, 30-year AM. So what that means is, essentially your mortgage payment is calculated over a 30-year period, but only 5 years of that are fixed at the rate at which you got on day one. When 5 years comes around, they call you again, they go, hey, appreciate you being a customer this year, but the market's changed, so we're gonna have to change your rate for the next 5 years. But some banks are calling people and they're saying, hey, we don't want to finance that loan anymore. You need to go find someone else to finance it. We want the loan off our books. We're done with it. That happened to us. Well, what did we do? We said, hey, we're going to sell our rent houses then. We don't want to refinance them. Let's get them sold and we'll do something else. What's great about that is the majority of homes that are being sold that these investors were going after were long-term rentals and short-term rentals. And we are not the huge conglomerates that these guys are talking about. We just had 3 homes. We're not 333 homes. So it's completely less. Oh, sorry about that. My wife's calling me. I'm gonna pause the recording. Actually, we'll edit. Okay, pick back up where we left off, right? So basically, we're not the big institutional investors. We're not buying 200-300 homes at a time. We're not that by any means. We're a smaller scale, but I still think it tends to remain that some of these investors right now are taking a step back. And if you read this article, it says here that there was a law announced that had a part of it. Mega investors who own 1,000 or more properties were attracted almost instantly. Institutional spikes in family rental operators have pulled back from buying up homes on the resale market. The math just isn't appealing right now. So that's good news. This is good news if you're looking to buy out there. There should be an increase in inventory and hopefully it's affordable inventory. So institutional investing has slowed down, which is good news. Another thing, if you're in Tulsa, right now, the market clock in Tulsa. This is a great app on Realtor.com. Shout out to all the guys at BAM Media who brought this to my attention. We're talking about how 2026 had the most friendly spring buyer market since 2018. Now, we felt that in our office. We felt that. We saw that we had a lot of people coming through that were on the sidelines. They were intrigued. They wanted to make the most of it. And so this market, when it came around, really gave people the opportunity to do it. And now a thing I like to look at to explain where this comes from, real simply, is this. Looking at the St. Louis Fed 30-year rate, I like to switch it to the 1 year and show you. So we're talking about spring, right? So here's January, we're talking from spring. So let's call this period spring, right? January up until here, about May. One of the things when you buy a house, you don't buy it and close on it the day of, right? You put it under contract, 30, 45, maybe 60 days later, you're going to close on it. With this, one of the things I think that's interesting is when you look at closings, I think some of these people locked in their rates around here very early in Q1, and they locked in a low rate. The longest you can lock in a mortgage rate fit with interest set is about 60 days. Typically, talk to your lender. I'm not a lender, I just sell houses. And in that period of time, it would have allowed them to have windows to shop, and they would have shopped as rates peaked and went up again. So I think it really allowed them to make the most of this window of time. That's why I think spring was so friendly. It was so friendly because we didn't have the Iran war going on yet, right? There was settling. We saw that the consumer price index was starting to come down. Things were starting to cool. There was opportunity. And the rate that you see here was allowing buyers to do that. People that had sat on the sidelines all through the tail end of last year, waited. Rates got low, things kicked off. It got really busy. We saw that in our market, we felt it. And this report is telling us that. It was the best market. 70% of the top 100 metros now either favor being a buyer or are trending towards that way. That's huge, that's great. That means those people that need to buy, the opportunity is coming round. And that's an important thing to note. Now, a thing I think personally that I'd add to this that I think is coming is I think that sellers are starting to become more realistic about pricing, where they need to be on the market, how long do they really want to be on the market, how motivated are they? And with that, what that is allowing again is opportunity for buyers. The phone call that had come through there was my wife. We're looking at buying a house right now. Why are we looking to buy a house right now? Because I don't think a lot of buyers really are. So what we can do is we're in a position where we can test seller resolve ultimately. Now this is tough if you're on the sell side, right? Because if you're the seller, man, what do I do? What do I do right now? You're telling me this is good for buyers, Stephen, but what about for sellers? This sucks. Does it? I don't know if it does. Because really we still have across the entire market a lack of inventory for people. And I understand a lot of people like to preface that by saying lack of affordable inventory for people, and that is true. But in this market right now, there's opportunity for people who are looking to get out there. And it's all about being informed. And in a minute, I'll show you how to build a deal very easily and very quickly and what your opportunity could look like. So this is kind of another important article I like to read about. The seller's market is starting to shrink a little bit. So if you're thinking of selling right now, I need you to do one thing. You gotta get rid of the thought of the COVID hangover. It doesn't exist anymore. COVID's gone. That was a one-off, once in hopefully a generation we ever see a terrible thing like that impact the world the way it did. And that market wasn't a great market. It wasn't a healthy market to be in. You know, tons of offers trying to get a house. Yes, I understand you've got a lower interest rate, but maybe you had to settle for a house you weren't crazy about. Maybe you had to skip on inspections. And I don't think that's the market you want to be in. This is the market to be in, where people get to negotiate, come together to bring a deal together, and you all end up winning. So with that being said, let's take a look at what's going on in the MLS right now in Tulsa. These are the listings I currently have in the market. And a few that I want to bring to attention, primarily actually, let's work this one. This is a good example of a deal, is this home at 1332 South Knoxville Avenue in Tulsa. I like this house for many reasons. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath, kind of a rare combination. It's got some nice updates throughout. It has some good features on it. And I think it serves two purposes. Number one, if you're looking to be a first-time homeowner, this is a great property for you to make the most of. Both bedrooms have en suites, it has a good backyard, has room to add covered parking. And again, if you're a first-time home buyer and you want to hold a house and it become your investment opportunity in the future to rent out, this is a great property to do that in. So I ran numbers the other day. Let's quickly pull this up. Midtown title app is something that I use to help my buyers get an understanding of what their potential costs could be in purchasing a home and those kind of things. You know, what does it look like for you when you're trying to buy a house? What are the fees that go into it? All of those kind of things. And so what we do is we build out an estimation for you and it lets you know. So let's switch over and take a look at what we're working with here. So let's say you buy this house, $207,000. We're going to give him full list price, okay? Down payment. Let's say you're going to use an FHA loan. Why would you use an FHA loan right now? Well, their rates are lower than a conventional loan. So we get you in an FHA loan. I think the number I got told the other day, 6.35, 30-year fixed. The sellers cover the buyer broker compensation. Insurance on a house like this, let's say you're around $2,000 a year. We're guessing there. Taxes, we could dial that in properly, but we're going to run with this estimate. There's no homeowner association. You put down $2,000, but let's add something in here, seller concession. You're gonna ask this buyer to give you this seller, sorry, give you some closing costs. Let's say you ask for 5 grand. Hey, I need 5 grand, helps me reduce the money that I'm bringing to the table at close. So we're gonna close, and when we close, we're gonna try and close beginning of September. This also means your first mortgage payment isn't due until November. So we're gonna close then, we're gonna run the scenario, and this will give you a breakdown and give you an idea of the costs entailed with purchasing a home, and that's what we have here. Monthly payment around $1,700, and bringing to close about $7,800 total, because you already gave them $2,000 earnest money, and the seller is gonna cover $6,000 of your out-of-pocket expenses. So these are all things to think about when shopping for a home, looking for a home, putting deals together and looking at those things. Another property I have real quick, we're gonna just quickly showcase one more house that I'm a fan of, is this property here on 14th. Renaissance Park is just north of Florence Park. So the Renaissance neighborhood, sorry, is just north of it. So here's 15th Street in Tulsa. Over here we have Lewis. Down here is Florence Park. Property when you get to Florence jumps significantly for pricing. You can see there what some of these houses go for. Clicked on that one by accident. But you can buy this house. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet for $359 right now. It's beautiful. It's got original hardwood floors, lovely updates, recently put on a newer roof, recently put in a new air conditioning and heating system. It really is a great house. And again, this falls into that nice niche of if you're a first-time home buyer looking to buy something in hold, or if you're someone who's an investor, you want a short-term rental, things like that. This is the primary suite. It's vaulted upstairs, loads of space. It's a really, really cool house. Highly recommend it for someone who's looking for that Midtown Tulsa vibe. So next week, we're going to go over some other real estate stuff. Next week, we're actually going to focus on new builds. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on a builder out of Oklahoma City called Tabor Homes, who have moved into the Tulsa area. We're going to talk about some of their interest rate specials and buyer incentives they're currently running. So tune back in, hit the like button, hit the comment button, tell me about a comment, subscribe, put whatever questions you want in there answered, let me know, and we'll put something together.